Welcome to the SSG podcast, everyone, where we have gaming news and discussion. I'm your host, Chris, and today is the day. It's week 2 of our fantastic Blizzard series as we're ramping up to BlizzCon November 3rd. Well, November 2nd and November 3rd, but we'll be recording on November 3rd. We're here with our guest, our second guest of this wonderful, wonderful series, Byron Lafayette. Is it Lafayette or Lafayette? How do you say it?
Lafayette. That is correct, Chris.
Yes. All right. I got my French down. So, how you doing, man?
I am doing very well. Thank you so much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, and so now everyone can hear the docile tones of the local robot in our group of friends. It's an inside joke. He's the magical unicorn within our group. So, thank you for coming on and we're looking to have a good time with all this. If you don't mind letting everyone know, like, what in the world do you actually do, I guess?
Well, basically, I fill my time. I do a lot of writing. I've been a freelance journalist for a number of years now. Worked for a bunch of different publications, and right now I am the editor for viralhair.com. I've been working on getting that site off the ground, and I also do some work for Fansided for one of their superhero sites.
Ooh.
And it's called Bam Smack Pow, and that's a lot of fun. And I contribute to a bunch of various other smaller sites, but Fansided and Viral Hair are the main ones that I'm working on right now. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can assume that's where you make all the big money, right? It's just
that's what I tell people.
Just bringing in the truckloads of cash. Yeah, I'm a professional writer. That's what I do.
Exactly, and my hope is someday I would like to be a novelist. So I'm working slowly on that. So hopefully in the next few years that'll happen.
So, in case you guys didn't know, I brought Byron on strictly because I thought it'd be fun to talk about the Diablo series and World of Warcraft, and even just MMOs in general, because he tends to do a lot of stuff pertaining to MMOs. He's literally becoming the guy I go to as far as like action RPG type games in general. So, I'm looking forward to our discussion later on, but we're going to move on now into games that have just recently come out. I guess that's the name of the segment. I don't know. I just kind of come up with things if it sounds good. Next week it's going to be called something else. Might have something to do with squashes or something. Who knows? But as all of you guys who listen, all 5 of you who listen, the great thing about this segment is that we get to talk about games that have come out since the last time we had a show. So, starting off, and all this is through Metacritic, for those that want to play along at home. October 23rd had a couple of games. I don't know if you got it when this was announced, Byron. I don't even know if you even knew what this was. I barely knew what it was, but everyone went crazy over this. Windjammers finally came out on the Switch.
I did hear about that, and yeah, a lot of my friends were going nuts about it, and I was kind of like, what is this? It's like, what is going on? What have I missed?
Yeah, apparently it was like some kind of massive, popular Sega Genesis sports game. Or
that's what I heard too. Yeah, that it was like it was something classic, and I was like, where was I all this time? Apparently something famous and classic is coming, and everyone was excited, and and I was kind of standing at the curb without a car.
Pretty much, I was in the same boat, because I'm just like, I remember, I think it was it E3 or it was like a Nintendo Direct, and I just remember like on there was a couple of subreddits that I follow, and everyone was just like, yes, and I'm like, what? Huh?
Exactly. It was like, what is this?
Like,
and it's like, when I did some research, I was like, this series has gone, back into the 90s,
Yeah.
I was like,
they're bringing it. The thing is, though, I think the big deal is they brought it back with online play, and that's what a lot of people were really looking forward to, because this apparently was a really good game to play, like co-op, or not co-op, but like you play against your friends. I mean, I've got a Sega Genesis. I kind of want to go get the original now. It just, I don't know. That seems like it'd be fun.
Sometimes with those type of games, the best is playing it on the original platform. I've always found that.
That is the truth.
Oh.
Actually, and to be fair, I have a original, or I say original. I've got my uncle keeps forgetting. He's got a Mario Kart 64
Ooh.
that he keeps meaning to give to me, but he always forgets about it. And I'm like, oh no, it's fine, dude. Just don't forget about me. Don't forget about don't forget about me too much. I just don't want to like end up selling it or something. And they're like, whoops.
I always tell people, that reminded me that I was like, you have not lived until you have played Command and Conquer Aftermath on a Pentium 3.
Oh, you see, that feeds into something that I want to do one day, which is I want to build like the best computer you could buy or build or whatnot from 1997, 1998.
Oh, that would be so much fun.
And then you just go and play all those games that came out around then on that computer. Oh, man. It would take forever, but that'd be so much fun.
It would be awesome. I've always wanted to go back and play some of the original Elder Scrolls like Daggerfall and stuff like that. I've seen the gameplay of it, and I was like, I want to play those on an old rig.
You say that, but I guarantee you what would happen is you would end up playing it, and you'd get about 10, 15 minutes into it, and you're just like, nope, I'm done, screw it. I'm done.
Give me, where's Skyrim? Where's Skyrim?
I need Skyrim. I need my Skyrim. Pull up Skyrim on my phone. Here we go. But it's got an 85 so far on Nintendo Switch, which that's a pretty good score for Metacritic.
That's not bad.
No, that's pretty good for a game that came out in the 90s. The next game on the list, I don't even know what this game is. I don't know. Is this... I don't know. I wish they would tell us, like say who the developers were. That would give me a so much better time of figuring things out. But Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales.
I had heard about those. I want to say like a couple of months ago or so, and my first thought was I was like Telltale, but I don't like. But
they're gone, man.
Exactly, they're gone. So I was like, it was from the creators of The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, but I'm not entirely sure like. Exactly like, because the style of it looks really different. And, but it is like the developer is Project Red. So it is the same developer.
Oh, it's a single player spinoff of their Gwent, the Witcher card game.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It's
online multiplayer. Okay.
It looks like it's some type of, I don't know. It's based off the card games. And I love card games, but I also don't like them. Because they can be so pricey. I used to play Magic the Gathering for like 6 months, and then I had to stop because I couldn't keep up.
No, I knew a guy who was spending over $50 a month trying to keep up on his deck, and he finally he had a kid, and that put a swift end to it.
Yep, that will absolutely set what your priorities are meant to be.
Exactly.
I do like occasionally playing Hearthstone. I don't know. It's one of those games where I'm just like I forget about it, and then I'll see something. Because a couple of years ago, I think, or was it last year, they came out with that really awesome like trailer.
Yeah,
that was like it felt like it was a freaking Disney movie or something. Like the animation was so good, but then I'll download it and I'll play it for maybe 20 minutes, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's the reason why I don't play this anymore, because you're so far behind.
It's true. It's one of those games I feel like it's almost like League of Legends that, that if you fall too far, then it can be difficult to get in. For a while, I had it downloaded on my phone, and I was playing it on that. And it was a little bit better doing it on the phone versus the computer, because it was a little bit more, I don't know, you could jump in and out a little bit. Yeah. But, I finally, I raged quit so many times on it. It was like, I did push through to get the Hearthsteed. For WoW that I pushed through, and I played the number of games I had to. I got the number of victories so that I could get that steed. And it is a very nice. I want to say you had to win 5. I want to say I think you had to win 5 and possibly play like 10. It was something like that.
That's not that bad, actually. Maybe I should.
Yeah, it really wasn't. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it took a few hours, and stuff. But honestly, the steed it's really cool. It's a flying mount too, so it's nice. Huh. Well,
then, I think if I do jump back into WoW again, then yeah, that would be great. I was always a mount hunter. I've up until the point that I quit playing the game, I quit around the beginning of the ending of Cataclysm.
Oh, okay.
And I had pretty much, I'm not gonna say I had every single mount, There was one particular mount that I remember it was a Burning Crusade mount, and it was one that kept eluding me, and I got so mad. It's one of those where it was a 1% drop rate, and you had to keep running this dungeon, and I ran that dungeon probably 150 times.
Was it one of the Drakes?
No, it wasn't a Drake. It was a Burning. It was in Burning Crusade.
Oh, okay. Was that okay?
So it was one of those runs. It reminded the mount reminded me of the Hawkstrider.
Okay.
It was a bird mount that you could get from this particular boss, and I just remember being so mad. Just eventually, you just have to look at that and go, I can't get it. But I had a lot of the mounts. I had a majority of the Drakes. I had a couple of the Mammoths. I had to do a lot of work in the Argent. Wasn't the Argent Crusade? Was it? Whatever up there, Northrend. The little tourney thing. There was a lot of stuff I did up there. It was sickening because I had I'm gonna save this for the Blizzard talk. I'm gonna save this for the Blizzard talk. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I'm ridiculous. The next game, and this is hilarious. I actually have something funny to say about this. So the next game that actually released was Just Dance 2019. Have you ever played a Just Dance game, Byron?
I have not. No, I've seen people play them, but I have not played one myself.
Okay, I'm about to blow your mind here. So, this game, the consoles, right, that it's come out for, it's Nintendo Switch, yeah. It's come out for the PS4, cool. Yeah. Xbox One, all right. Xbox 360, okay, that's fine, right? That's cool. Wii U,
okay.
We're getting into kind of obsolete territory. And the Wii.
Oh my gosh, the Wii.
It has actually come out, and I saw a Reddit posting of this, of someone in some country over in Europe, and they're like, they found a Wii copy, like a hard copy of it for the Wii. And I was like, what?
Oh, it's like, who even has like a Wii anymore? Like original Wii. I mean,
my family does actually.
Oh.
In fact, I've actually owned a couple of versions of Just Dance, and then swiftly returned them. Taylor swiftly returned them. And then I said we were never getting back together. No,
you had a blank space on your shelf, but you were not writing their name. Let's move on before we humiliate ourselves more by knowing these lyrics.
I don't know. There's no scores on Metacritic for that game. So, by the way, for the Thronebreaker game, it's only on PC console. It comes out on consoles on December 4th, and it's got an 86.
Okay, not bad.
So, next game on the list. Apparently, this is exciting because I absolutely love this game, and I have two versions of this game. I've got it on PC, and it's also on Switch. Stardew Valley came out for iOS devices.
Ooh, that's been on my list on Steam to purchase for the longest time. Good. Like, so many of my friends are just obsessed with it.
It is the thing is, they just came out with co-op for PC as well.
Oh man, co-op is the bane of my existence because I love it.
I'm telling you, this was my game of the year 2016. I have put so many hours into it. I've played so many modded versions of this game. I mean, I've got it on my Switch, and it's still my little bundle of joy, I guess you could say. I just absolutely love this game. I'm a big fan of Animal Crossing. I'm a big fan of Harvest Moon. This is the perfect blend.
Is it by the same developer who did Terraria?
Interestingly enough, it's not done by the same developer, but it's by the same publisher.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
Two different. I know the Stardew Valley was developed by one guy over 4 years.
Dang.
Chucklefish, which is the publisher, is who published the game. Chucklefish also published Terraria, but they are not. Okay. They're not done by the same. Because Terraria is done. I forget what the company's name is.
Dang! I just looked Stardew Valley. It has 87,000 reviews on Steam.
I'm telling you, man, it's such. I mean, the thing is, updates have been very slow. because essentially it's been just one person. I think he got a couple of other people to help out with a few other things, especially with the multiplayer. Because I think in an update, he actually stated, I don't even know what I'm doing when it comes to like network code and all that stuff. So I've had to bring someone else on board. But from what I remember reading, this was the passion project of a guy who he like, this was like the first thing he started working on when he graduated from college.
Wow.
And what a game he has made. It's literally 16-bit, like casual living nostalgia. I mean, there's RPG elements. You grow crops. You can get animals. You can have a farm. You can date some of the town locals, both male and female. There's a local mine shaft. You can go and get there's like exploration. There's an adventure aspect to the game. I mean, there's not much in the way as far as different armors or something like that, but you can get better weapons. You can fish. And there's all kinds of fish to catch. There's 4 seasons, so there's different crops to grow during different seasons and different fish to catch. And it's a really quaint, casual. I say casual. It just feels good. It's like my girlfriend doesn't understand why I love these types of games. To me, it just gives me a feeling of, if you've ever been it's a really cold day, and you're sitting by a fireplace with the fire going, kind of a thing, and you're just kind of just cuddled up, and it's like how people would be like, you're reading a book or something like that, and you're just like, everything, just like the smell and the feel, everything is just, you're just relaxed and just comfortable.
Man,
that's what this game does to me.
I have to say, just that review that you just gave, makes me want to go and buy it now. It's and you know what? I can say the Steam Halloween sale is coming up, and I'm going to be purchasing this. Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing. I bought this thing. I bought it. I bought it brand new on Steam, which if you want to, once again, if you want to try multiplayer with it, I can see if this little piece of crap computer I've got can actually run it. We could give that a shot. And like I said, I've got it on Switch. And the thing is, though, I don't think they will be bringing multiplayer over to consoles. I don't know if they will. I think they're probably not. Or they're still in the beta phase for PC. So it may happen eventually. I can't say that it won't happen, but you just have to be patient because it's just one guy. So it is going to be slow, but
it's slow.
At least you're getting his vision, though. Let
me tell you something. I've put more hours into this game than I ever put into Skyrim.
That's quite an accomplishment. I'm definitely going to be picking this game up.
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm very, very biased. So
man, that is awesome, man. Oh, and I'm glad to see that it's coming out more and getting more exposure too.
Man, the fact that it's been out for 2 years is it's incredible to me. I love it. The game puts such a smile on my face. But I'm gonna move on now because holy crap. I keep gushing about it. The next game, this came out October 26th. Go figure. Apparently, this is the new sliced bread of gaming. It's the greatest thing of all time. Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh man, yes. This game. Oh my gosh! I don't know if this is 100% confirmed, but supposedly the storage size requirement for this game is over 100 gigabytes.
Not surprised.
And I was like, I mean, this is it sounds incredible just of what they're doing with it. And it's I never owned the first one. I've played it with friends and such. But I never personally owned it. But from what I played, it was really fun, and what I've seen from Red Dead Redemption 2, I know it's coming to PC too. I heard
eventually, but it only came out for consoles. And right now, the Metacritic scores, which it's been given the stamp of must play by Metacritic. The PS4 is at a 97. The Xbox One is at a 98.
Dang. Oh, part of this, that I've said this for years, and I always say, my phone is right there for the gaming developers to call for my opinion. They haven't yet, but but I've always said, the Western is an untapped universe for video games. There's just not that many of them.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, there's been a few, but there just hasn't been. And, the other two that I've said too is American Civil War and World War One. Those three are prime real estate for video games that have not been tapped yet.
Well, I think one of the reasons why why they've not really done much with World War One is strictly because World War Two is there's no way I can really put this without it sounding wrong, but it's the more popular of the wars.
It is true.
There's a lot more documentation, a lot more, I guess, more study has been done, research has been done on that war. And there's also when there was a lot of technological advancements that just like everything.
That is part of the
military
problem.
Like blossomed during that time.
It is true. World War One doesn't have as many options, when it comes to your technology. I mean, even Battlefield 1, when they did the World War One setting, they did have to be very creative when it came to different weapons. They had, I remember that I was thinking to myself, they have one too many of these full auto machine guns for people to have, because they didn't quite have those. It was mostly the bolt action rifle, but of course that doesn't play as well in video games. So
right. I mean, and whatever. I mean, I don't. I'm not going to get into a tizzy about stuff like that because it's a video game. It's an online multiplayer shooter. I mean, for the most part. I mean, who cares?
I don't expect to have a huge amount of historical accuracy when it comes to a video game. It's unless I'm playing like something like Total War, or Crusader Kings, or something like that. Besides that, I don't need it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But and you're right though. I mean, there's not I can't. I'll be honest with you. Outside of the Red Dead Redemption games, what other Western games has there been?
The only other Western games that I can think of, and the name is eluding me.
Call of Juarez?
Call of Juarez, that's what it is. That's the only other series that I want to say that's actually done decently, like sold good numbers. Besides that, there really has been, besides like Oregon Trail, and stuff like that, there's not really.
That's a barn burner for sure.
Exactly. It's like there was, and you'll get a kick out of this. There was I used to play it in college in the computer lab. There was an old kind of MMO, a little bit, Western game, and it was called Old West Gunfighter. Terrible graphics. But basically you would log on, you would construct a gunfighter, and then you could play and do one-on-one duels with either AIs or with other players. Huh. And it was it was extremely strategic because you had to have like bandages, you had to have different types of guns, different types of armor. And if you fought like, Jesse James or these different types of bosses, you could get rare loot drops of guns and different gear. It was a super fun game. Very, very, very small audience. But it was very good though. But other than those ones that we mentioned, I can't really think of any other Western type game.
Yeah, this is insane. I'm looking through, there's a list on Wikipedia of Western video games. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something, man. There's not a ton of games that have come out like recently that have been noteworthy, I guess you could say. Like there's several, like you have the Call of Juarez games, Dylan's Rolling Western.
Oh, hadn't even heard of that one.
That's apparently a Nintendo 3DS game. Okay, a game that was actually kind of okay, I think. 2005, Gun.
I had forgotten about that one. I remember playing that one back in the day.
That is an old Neversoft Activision game.
That was a fun game. It was one of the first of the open world games too. I mean, playing it now, of course, is like an empty open world.
I need to get that.
It's a fun game though. Like, I mean, the mechanics, the gunfighting, everything for its time was very good.
Yeah, it looks like it was super popular. I think I've been told that I need to look into that game because
I would definitely say if you're interested in kind of like a Red Dead feel, kind of, but like an early open world RPG type game, definitely check it out. It's a good game. It has a good storyline.
There was the before the Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, I remember this. Did you know there was an entry before in the series before Red Dead Redemption?
No, really?
Red Dead Revolver.
Dang.
Yeah, and it's a Rockstar game. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That is like, no one ever talks about that.
Nope.
Like, honestly, I mean, I want to say, I feel like this is the first time I might have even heard of it.
And this is even crazier. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. It was originally a Capcom title, but Rockstar acquired the rights to the game, and then they let Rockstar San Diego develop it.
Dang, so technically, really, there is a Red Dead trilogy now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, seriously, how have... It has sold almost 1 million copies as of 2010. How have we not heard of this game? Almost a platinum selling title.
I know, right? It got okay reviews. I need to hunt down that game.
Yeah,
give it a shot, see what it's like. Cause
I know I want to play this too now.
Interesting. Let's see, in 2010, the game was included as one of the titles in the book 1001 Video Games You Must Play Before You Die.
Wow, dang! So it must be decent then. Yeah.
Learn something new every day. There's one other game that came out on the 26th, and I don't know if you watch much anime, but
I do not. No.
Yeah. I've got my favorites, and that's about it myself. But My Hero One's Justice. It's a fighting game based off. I think it's the My Hero Academia or whatever. Anime that came out. It only has a score on PS4, and it's got a 68. So,
okay.
Yeah, I know nothing about that at all. Nor do I care to really know much about it. I mean, I understand. I've heard a lot of people say that the anime is really cool, but 9 times out of 10, almost any kind of game that's based off of either an anime or, games based off movies, it's never good.
I have experienced that.
There's the number of games that are based off a movie that are actually good. You could probably count on one hand.
Yeah, so. I don't want to have any kind of PTSD episode here, but I did play the video game, the movie licensed video game for Transformers, and that's all I will say on that issue. It was painful.
Yeah, they came out with some Transformers games not too long ago that were actually really good games.
Yeah, like the Fall of Cybertron, those games were good.
Yeah.
Those ones, yeah.
They were not based off the movie. They were original, or if anything, they were probably based off the cartoons.
Yes.
So, Michael Bay, just no. But all right, so that covers every single game that came out since the last episode, and now we're going to move on to the news segment. And there's some news items that we can touch on and we can talk a little bit about. There's some that I'm just going to mention, and if you want to say something or whatnot, then we can move on. No big deal. Okay. The first one I want to bring up is a really important one, and something if any of you guys actually follow the SSG podcast on Twitter, or if you have liked this on our Facebook page, this is some stuff I've actually posted on there, and that's essentially the situation out at Rockstar. And the situation being that, Red Dead Redemption 2 is I guess we could probably say this now, from what people are, stating, the reviews, how everything's going. It's a technical achievement for games. How hard were these people work, though? That's the question I'm asking. Because according to, there's an article by Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer, it's titled "The Human Cost of Red Dead Redemption 2," according to the people who made it. It's a sad read. It's a very sad read. I'm not going to go into too many details about it because I want you to read for yourself, and I don't want to color, opinions too much of this. But okay, I'll give you a quote. I'll give you the quote that they give right here. It says, "The fears those at the top have seen how profitable this is working at 150 to 200%. Now months have turned into over a year, and we're staring down the barrel of this not actually ending because there will always be more things coming out." Now, I've stated before that I've worked software. I work in the software industry. I don't work in the games industry, although technically, it's hard to tell you where I work right now. Yes, it's technically part of the games industry, but it's an entirely little different section. I can't imagine being the QA, for being a QA for this company and being just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. Being forced to work. I say being forced. The management out at Rockstar won't say they were being forced. they will say, "Oh, they always had an option." Well, we know what that option is. You can go find another job.
Exactly. It's the classic situation. You're all in the office, and they say like, "Hey, everyone, we're all going to work overtime. Does anyone want to leave?" And it's like, you really want to be that one guy who's going to get up and walk to the door and say, "I'm going to go home while all of you guys stay here and work."
Yeah, it's not. It's awkward, and it would probably get you, fired.
Oh, exactly.
On the spot.
You're not going to be on any good lists at that company.
So, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that these people that work at Rockstar, they're not like unhappy with the final product. They're not. They're proud of what they've done, but even they think though that the workload for this game was ridiculous, and I don't know. There's this sad situation when it comes to games. I don't think people realize how many people it takes to make this, and how many man hours it takes to create these wonderful games. That we end up playing. These games that Rockstar releases, it could be Red Dead Redemption, it could be the next Grand Theft Auto, it could be anything under the sun that Rockstar decides to come out with. And people will look at it and be like, "Oh man, this is a fantastic game. This is a great game to play." Eventually, though, you're going to hit a peak, right?
That's very true.
You can only push these people so far before they're finally burnt out, and then what happens after that? Deadlines aren't met, games get delayed, people get laid off, and games then get canceled.
No, it's true, and your storytelling quality, all that stuff, it's going to go downhill.
Yeah.
It's like because like you said, people can only be pushed so far, and and the gaming industry is very competitive. And so it's like anybody who is a star performer at a company like Rockstar, they can go anywhere they want. It's like one of them decides if they're good, they can go over to Valve, they can go over to another company if they would want to.
Can they? That's something I'm wondering. Is that actually a real thing that they could do? Because
depending on their contract, I guess I should say.
A lot of these people, when they go and work for these companies, they sign an NDA, right?
Now, that is true, yes. Now, that is where you can run into one of those issues of work that you create, that anything that you basically, your intellectual property does not belong to you.
Right.
And of course, that is a huge thing. It's a huge thing in a video game, or movie, or any of that type of studio situation.
So if you're a game designer, if you do programming, you work on this specific type of thing, and you say, well, okay, you know what, it's time for me to move on. Well, can you officially really move on? Because maybe that NDA says for the next 30 days, maybe for the next 3 months, you can't work. You can't do a similar job. You can't work for a similar company.
No, that's very true. That's very true. A lot of those do include that.
So then where do you go in that situation? I mean, I wish it was as simple as just saying, I'm going to move on. But I mean, it's like, if I was working for Google, do you think Google's going to let me go work for anything that is similar to what they do?
That's very true, yeah. No. They're going to want to keep you out of the game for a while.
Right. And if anything, they may even try to blackball you. I know that was a situation that was going on with Konami. Konami is terrible. I will never, ever, ever, ever support another Konami product as long as I live, because they were making conditions terrible for their employees. And putting they were even doing a thing where if you wanted to go find another place to work, Konami had essentially agents that would tarnish your name so you would never get a job.
Oh, that's terrible.
So you're forced to work at Konami and, work on things that you probably don't care to work on, or worse than that, be worked like, I don't know if anyone's ever noticed, but yes, we all have that OSHA thing that's set up in the break room, right?
Yes, we do. I got mine at my place of them. OSHA
doesn't do too much. Now they can do things, right, if it's bad enough, but you almost have to, like, the amount of proof you have to have, and then the fact that you're willing to kind of throw your job out the window, and yeah, there's a lot of crap you have to go through before anything happens, and you're not even going to really reap any of the benefits.
This is very true. You know, it's like, yeah, you can always complain to HR, but it's like, what's going to happen to you after, you know, you complain to HR?
Sometimes HR doesn't even really listen to you. Like, I mean, gosh, how many times have we seen that happen, right? Like, especially in the culture nowadays, like most of the time I've seen HR just tell people, just deal with it, suck it up.
Exactly, yeah, because, you know, a lot of times they're in the pocket of the company, you know.
Yes.
Like they're being paid or they're being paid by them, you know.
So I guess to kind of just to wrap this little bit up, but I've got 3 articles that I'm gonna share in the description, and pretty much every news article, everything that's discussed here, for the most part, there's gonna be a bunch of crap that's gonna be in the description, but it'll all be there because I want you guys to really read it. There's a really awesome investigative article that Jason Schreier from Kotaku wrote that states Inside Rockstar Games Culture of Crunch. That's a really, really telling, you know, article. That Kotaku's actual review of Red Dead Redemption, oh my gosh, it's long, but it is so in depth. I usually don't care for Kotaku, but I'm slowly kind of turning around. I mean, I've always been a Jason Schreier fan just because of his work. Kotaku, from a whole standpoint, I've never cared too much for, but I like the author of this, Kirk Hamilton. I've not read through this entire review because, like I said, it is long. It is one of the longest freaking reviews I've ever seen. But it's brilliant. It's one of the best. You know, it is really a thorough review. And then also the Tom Phillips article from Eurogamer. These 3 I want to share, and you know, don't forget the people who actually work behind the scenes, because it does take a massive amount of time, massive amount of manpower to make these games. Even the games that you think suck, even the games that are terrible, even the games that have underperformed, even the games that you think are just, you know, someone spent time on that. Yeah, someone spent time on that. And whether it was there's a slew of like reasons as to why a game underperforms, doesn't do as well, isn't as good as it should be. A lot of it, though, I feel like is because of the deadlines that are put on people.
Exactly. Yes, I fully 100% agree with that. It's not always the people. In fact, I would say the majority of the time, it's not the people who are making the games. It's the upper brass.
Yeah. Yes. The timelines. The fact that they didn't get enough time to test things. I mean, you think about it. I mean, granted, in software, you really can't test every little thing, but because these games are getting more, they're getting bigger. You said that Red Dead Redemption 2 is something like 100 gigabytes plus, potentially. These games are getting to be so massive. There's only so much time you really have to test every aspect of it because they're so dense.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I tell people. Is like when you're playing a video game, every blade of grass has to be rendered. You know, every leaf, someone had to design that. You know, and so of course, procedural and all that. But in the sense that every aspect of this game had to be created from scratch. You know, and so it's like
there is. I was naive when I went into work for the last company I worked for. And I've been one of those people that has been like, oh, I'm going to make a video game. Well, it's not as easy as you think. In fact, it's far more difficult. I've tried several times to start learning how to program in C#. It's for some people may say it's really easy, but for the most part, it's not it's like learning another language. That's what it comes down to. Moving on to a few other little news topics. Nothing that I'm not going to dabble too much in all this stuff here. But did you know that Elder Scrolls Online was originally, the developer ZeniMax Online Studios considered bringing it to the Nintendo Switch. They're not now.
Really?
Yeah.
I was not aware that they were considering that. Man, I'm kind of surprised. I mean,
they're not going to do it.
Torn. That's too
they're
bad
not going to do it. Yeah,
because that could have been very interesting. I don't want to say it would have been amazing or it would have been terrible, but it would have been interesting.
You know why they're not bringing it over though?
Why aren't they doing it?
It's too big of a game.
The size of it is very large and it's very detailed. I played it a couple of years back, and it's a gorgeous game, absolutely gorgeous. Has a huge amount of problems, but it's still a gorgeous game, though.
Yeah, apparently the size is 75 gigabytes.
Oh dang! Wow, it's already. I'm not really surprised with the expansion they've been pumping out lately. I'm not surprised at that at all.
And one of the, I think, it says in this, it's a GameSpot article that's got this. For comparison, NBA 2K19 is just under 32 gigabytes and is one of the Switch's largest games.
Wow. So yeah, 75 would be difficult. Wow.
Yeah. Apparently, though, it does say that that there is one MMO that is on the Switch, but only in Japan, and that's Dragon Quest X.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've heard of that game.
If I don't know, I've got a Japanese account. I don't know if you knew this, but the Switch is not region locked.
It is not really.
Yeah, it's not region locked. So you can create a Japanese account. You can go on the Japanese e-store and you can download Japanese games if you want to.
That's kind of cool.
It's hard to buy them because obviously they're in yen and we pay in dollars, so there's no conversion. But I think I've seen like one of the workarounds is that you could go buy a Japanese like e-store gift card or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might be able to do it through Amazon. I don't know exactly how. But then you can put that onto the e-store, the Japanese e-store, and actually buy stuff through that. It's what's really cool about it is that you can there's like a bunch of games that have demos that you can play. They have a Monster Hunter game before Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate came out on the Switch, and I played the demo of that. It was a Japanese version. It was kind of cool.
Oh man, that's pretty. It is true. The conversion rate when it comes to money with games, like I had a buddy who was traveling around and he was looking at a Steam store when he was in Indonesia, and damn dude, the game prices were incredible. Like they were so much lower than over here.
Well, yeah, it was
wild.
Depends. Yeah, the currency rate is going to depend on a lot of stuff. I know if you were to try to go to like Australia, it would be probably more expensive.
Exactly. Yeah, it depends on what country you're going to.
So that's really cool though. He was actually able to look at Steam games like through the Indonesian website or version of Steam. It's kind of it was definitely different, but it was cool. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, unfortunately it seems like there's going to be a lack of MMO games on the Switch, which I think is a massive shame.
That is too bad. Yeah, because the Switch it's such a fantastic system. That it's like, it seems like, the MMO would be perfect for it, but like you said, size-wise, that can be a problem depending on the, an MMO is always going to be large. Just to touch on real quick before we move on, I feel like Neverwinter would be really good on the Switch.
If they put that on, Warframe's coming to the Switch.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, see that would be. There's a few of those games that I feel like would be good on there. Warframe will do very well on there, and I feel like Neverwinter would be good too.
I would go back to playing Neverwinter. Like when that's the thing. I've spent hours with Warframe on the PS4. If it comes out when it comes out to Switch, yes sir. I'm gonna be. I don't care if I got to start over from scratch. I love the game that much, and to play it on the Switch. I mean, I don't know. It's a good game. I recommend that one. Moving on to the next one. Marvel's Spider-Man shatters the PlayStation and Spider-Man records. So, Marvel Spider-Man was the best-selling game of September, highlighted by the highest launch month dollar sale for any PlayStation exclusive in history. It's the 7th largest launch ever achieved by any game on any PlayStation platform.
Man.
So perhaps most telling to fans of the Marvel games and Spider-Man is NPD, which I wish I could get there. I want that information. NPD is essentially, it's one of those data data on like cells and stuff like that. That would be cool to be able to like get that stuff like immediately, so you could see what makes what. but it says the NPD analyst, which shows that Marvel Spider-Man achieved launch month sales 37% higher than the combined launch month sales of all other Spider-Man games released since NPD Group began tracking in '95.
Dang! Oh, that's incredible. I mean, that game, like I have not seen the hype around a video game. I can't tell you the last time I saw hype around a video game that rivaled something similar to Spider-Man, I want to say it was probably like Halo 2, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, like
I was going to say No Man's Sky, but...
you know what, yeah, that's true. You know, I would go with you, actually, with that. I'd forgotten about No Man's Sky.
The hype No Man's for that Sky was amazing.
That one, yeah. Like, I never, you know, I had a lot of people who got, you know, I remember how mad people got after that. And I was miffed. I was irritated. But the fact is when I read about what they were talking about with the game before it came out, you know, maybe I was a Debbie Downer, but I told people, I said, it's not going to live up to that. I said, there's no way. I said, this is not a AAA studio. I said, they don't have the cash. They don't have the resources. This is not going to be like a game released by Bethesda or something. You know, and I tried to tell people, I was like, you know, it's not going to be as amazing as you think it's going to be, you know, and, you know.
You were right. You were right about that.
It's true. It is.
The thing is, though, have you gone and played it recently?
The next expansion, I mean, that was, it redeemed the game. I mean, it really did. And I would venture to say, you know, it's unfortunately the next expansion was what the game should have been at launch. They should have taken extra time, another 2 years, even if they needed it, to add that in. It's unfortunate, you know.
Even if they like the first two big updates they had, even if it was something like that, that would have appeased a lot more people. But I would agree.
Oh, yeah.
The aspect of having multiplayer in the game, that right there. If they'd had multiplayer in the game from the get go, that would have alleviated a lot of like angry people, probably.
Oh, it really would have, yeah, because there was, you know, because I mean the developers, they were so excited about it, you know, and stuff, and I think that they were well-meaning with what they were claiming, but they didn't differentiate of what was going to be in at launch and what was going to be in at a later time, and that was the problem.
Yes.
You know, but you know, I feel like their reputation has been redeemed somewhat. I mean, the Steam player charts are quite good for the game. I mean, people are playing it.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like seeing games do bad.
No, me neither.
I mean, so I mean, I'm happy that No Man's Sky is doing well, and we actually dedicated an entire episode to No Man's Sky before the next update. I was trying to build a lot of hype up for it, and people went for it, and I'm really happy that the game is where it's at. So now we're going to move over to the next segment, which is the main reason Byron is here. We are going to begin our discussion, speculation, whatever you want to call it, on Diablo.
Oh yes,
World of Warcraft, and anything else that I guess tickles your fancy.
Oh man, you know, definitely. The two of my favorite games. Very, very excited to talk about this.
So, what do you want out of a Diablo 4? We're starting you off right.
Okay, that's a good question, because the thing is that, you know, and this is gonna be kind of controversial. What I'm gonna say here is because I really love Diablo 3. Now I know there's a lot of like fans of the Diablo franchise, who hate it. You know, they love Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and they really dislike 3. You know, I'm a fan of the entire franchise. I love all the games. They're all, I think, really good. You know, I applaud Blizzard, you know, that they went in a very different direction with Diablo 3. It's a very different game, you know, than the first two, for better or worse, you know. And, you know, and another, you know, as you know, I'm known for my controversial statements.
There we go.
So another controversial statement I'm going to make is I think that Diablo 3 saved the Diablo franchise. That, you know, you had Diablo 1, you had Diablo 2, fantastic games. And that's the thing is, like, you know, you know, and I don't want anyone to think I'm throwing shade at those first two games, because they're fantastic. And, you know,
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting.
But I think that Diablo 3, it brought longevity to the franchise. You know, because, you know, I mean, when did Diablo 3 come out? Was it 2012, I want to say? One of the best-selling games of all time, 30 million copies. And I will be one of the first to say here that it had a rough launch, that it was like, and I will say the game was problematic at best until Reaper of Souls came along. Reaper of Souls fixed a lot of problems with the game, and it smoothed it out a lot. But one thing that I will say, or then I turn over back to you, is that I think that having the seasons with Diablo 3, I think that really helped keep the flame alive, so to speak. I think that if it would have been just this single-player game with co-op, I think it probably would have been not necessarily forgotten, but it would not be being talked about as much. The seasons have kept people coming back to it. Obviously, Blizzard doesn't release their numbers, so I don't know how many play every season. But I think it's safe to say it's probably, at least in the high 100,000s, I would say at least. So quickly then, before I turn over, I would like to see, with Diablo 4, I would like to see a game that goes a little bit more back to the Gothic setting of Diablo 1 and 2. I feel like Diablo 3 got a little too cartoonish at points for its own good. So I would like to see it go a little bit more back to its horror roots, but I would like it to keep that season framework, the adventure mode. I would like to see them bring almost like the Nephilim riffs, not necessarily those again, obviously, because that was Diablo 3 specific, but something like that into Diablo 4 that allows you to basically, after you've beat the game, I want to see some more in-game content that allows me to keep playing it for 5-6 years afterwards with friends. So I don't want to see just a straight single player with co-op thing. I want to see a little bit more of that MMO feel that they put into Diablo 3.
So, I have a few issues with your statement, but for the most part, though, I agree with you. You make a lot of great points. I do really like Diablo 3. In fact, if I didn't like it, then I wouldn't have bought it for PC day that it launched. I wouldn't have bought it for PS4 when it came out. I wouldn't be buying it for the Switch when it comes out on November 2nd. I am a massive fan of the series. I don't care for Diablo 1 all that much because of the gameplay and the pacing and all that. It's a little too archaic for me. Diablo 2, though, I still play to this day. In fact, the other night, I was playing Diablo 2. In fact, there's a conversion mod that I discovered called Median XL. Revamps just about everything with the game. And
now that is awesome.
It's pretty fun to play. It's really complex. It's a harder game to play. It's harder than base Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction, LOD, Diablo 2. In fact, you can actually create a crossbow wielding necromancer if that's what you so desire.
That is pretty darn awesome.
But I will say though, with Diablo 3, you say it saved like the Diablo series. I disagree with that. I think that initially it killed the Diablo series. I think at launch while the hype was huge and deservedly so, I think the initial couple years was pretty bad. The Gold Auction House was the chief of my complaints.
Oh, I don't know who came up with that. Was the worst idea for them to have.
I think for the longest time, the game was kind of sitting around doing nothing. Reaper of Souls saved Diablo. The fact that it came out with 2 new classes, revamping the looting system also did a whole lot to the game. So I remember being so frustrated with. I think how is it? I think it was you'd end up like killing a boss or something, and you just get a bunch of common items.
Oh, it was bad.
So I think that expansion is what saved the entire series. The hype and people wanting to justify that, I'm playing Diablo 3, blah, blah, blah. That's probably what kept the game going for a long time. But I saw a massive swing of the pendulum, so to speak, when Reaper Souls came out. And with I guess you'd call it an expansion, the Rise of the Necromancer.
Yes,
Which, let me tell you something, man. I love playing the Necromancer in Diablo 3. The way they changed the mechanics around as far as the summoning and all that kind of stuff, it was really good.
No, it was a great class, and it was kind of ingenious. I don't know the way how, because obviously, I don't think we're going to be getting any more massive expansions for Diablo 3, almost like a Reaper of Souls. But I liked how they did a small expansion with the Necromancer, and I do think we're going to be getting one more of those, I believe, before Diablo 4.
I think it'll be announced actually, and I think it's going to be, if I could just speculate here for a second, I think we'll get another one, and it's going to include potentially something like the Druid.
We are on the same page, definitely.
That was in Diablo 2. That was one of my favorite classes to play, but I never understood how to fully play them. I would normally go to Shapeshifter.
Very complex character, and yeah, it's like I was thinking about it a few weeks ago, and I was trying to think like what class are they going to be releasing, next, because I was like I fully believe there's going to be at least one more. And for a little while, I was kind of set on the Amazon, but I just don't think it's going to be that because I feel like the Amazon is too similar to the Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
And really when I was like, for fun, I was deep diving, all of the classes, and the only one, it was what you said, the only one that I felt is probably, the biggest chance is going to be some kind of druid. Like you said, it might be a mix of something. It might not be fully a druid, but I think it's going to be something along those lines, I think.
Yeah, because, like, you look at the Crusader is very much like the Paladin in certain aspects. And the Assassin is like the Monk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Assassin is very much like the Monk.
So
similar attacks and weapons and such.
And there's really no one else then at that point to really draw from. I think honestly with Diablo 3 coming out for the Switch, this is the main reason why you won't really get anything on a Diablo 4, because I think what they are wanting to do is they want people to play that version.
Yes.
And they want to sell that version, and when it comes to selling products, at least if I'm wrong about this, let me know. But you don't want to announce a new product when you're trying to sell an older product on another platform.
No, you are exactly right. Definitely. Yeah. In all the marketing experience that I've had, you focus definitely one thing at a time. And that is kind of the one main problem that a lot of people have asked me. A lot of people going like, why haven't we gotten a Diablo, 4 announcement, or at least something announcing saying it's coming? And it's exactly what you said. It's going back to that right now, Diablo 3 is still a really good seller. They're making money off of it. And so it's like, as soon as they announce Diablo 4, the sales are going to plummet on Diablo 3.
Yeah, no one's going to want to buy that because they're going to say they're going to wait till Diablo 4 comes out at that point. So
exactly.
That's where I'm thinking. And that's part of the reason why I'm trying to justify there being another expansion. And I don't even think it would be a you got to pay for it expansion. Did you have to pay for Rise of the Necromancer? I can't remember.
Yes, you do have to pay for it. It was I want to say it was only like $8.99 or something like that, $9.99. It was a good price. It was very low.
I could see something like where console owners maybe get it for free.
Yeah,
or something like PC, you have to buy it, or something, or maybe for all consoles you have to buy it. I don't know exactly how they would roll it out, but I think it would be a very similar thing, like the Necromancer. That might get announced. But they're going to push anything that can get Diablo 3 sold on the Switch right now before turning their attention to something else.
Yeah, like you said, I think that's very interesting what you said about like possibly like releasing a new expansion class and giving it away for free. I could definitely see something like that, almost like with the Switch. I could see them saying, "Hey, the Druid class or whatever is going to be free for all Switch users." I could see something like that easily to drive sales.
And what's interesting is this, because I've actually got a website that actually has the rundown as far as the times of each thing that happens, like each game that gets discussed. Okay. All right, so the opening ceremony for BlizzCon is on November 2nd at 2 p.m.
Okay.
Apparently the first panel discussion or whatnot is for Diablo.
Interesting. Okay.
So let's say I'm doing my own conspiracy here, because I think that if they want to push the sales of the Switch, people, you got people like me who are just like, I'm going to get it regardless, man. Like, who cares? I mean, I'm getting it just because it comes with like a Ganondorf like armor transmog.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you get those people that have a Switch, but they're just like, why would I get another copy of Diablo?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, everyone who purchases Diablo for the Switch, you get this the Druid or whatever class update for free.
Mm-hmm. I think something like that would be a fantastic marketing push, and it would definitely drive some sales of that. People who are on the fence would definitely fall on one side,
right?
And I think that's interesting too. That the first panel is Diablo.
Yep.
Because that scene. I mean, even though they announced and were like, "Hey guys, don't get your hopes up," type thing. Just the fact that it's the first panel, it gets my hopes up. It's like, and I wouldn't be surprised also, I don't want to jump too far ahead here, but I wouldn't be surprised too if they gave some more details on the Netflix show.
Potentially.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
No, potentially, yeah. I think that is also another thing that they will talk about because we don't have too many details, unfortunately, about that. We do know I think I saw a report that it said it was like going, like it's going ahead of schedule.
Okay.
Like they're doing really well on it, kind of a thing. Like as far as everything's going. So, but all we really know is that it's animated and it's going to be on Netflix and it's about Diablo.
I wouldn't be surprised if we got like some kind of like teaser trailer. Almost like something that doesn't really show anything, but something that they can pop on YouTube, and almost like the Elder Scrolls 6 announcement. That they did.
Man, I would like to see. I'd like to see them have this little like dark. Kind of like you hear like this monologue or something going, and then it's just
like a Deckard Cain monologue.
No. You hear someone talking, or like maybe like Deckard Cain or something. Or maybe not so much Deckard Cain because that's too noteworthy. But it's just generic face talking about this darkness of some sort, and then maybe they show a little bit like he's sitting in this table and he's in the dark or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like the camera kind of folds around, like just rotates around him, and then eyes are glowing red like Diablo.
Oh, see, I would love something like that. Like something like that would get, because I feel like they need to get people hyped for it, and something like that. Costs next to nothing to film, yes. and it's just something that like I said, a little teaser that you can just pop out there and get people excited.
Let us see, like, what's the art style going to look like? I'm hoping it's done in the same vein as the Castlevania Netflix series, because that was actually a really good series too. I don't watch much Netflix, but I like that a lot. It was
like the art style, the animation was great. And it reminded me, it was similar to almost like the Wrath short that they did. Yep. And like something like that, I would be very happy with.
Yeah.
My only question, and another question that I would like them to answer in regards to the TV show, is I would like them to tell us what era it is in. Like is this like Sin War? Is this is it a retelling of Diablo 1? And then they're going to do like season 2 is Diablo 2,
What if, dude, I just got a grin.
Uh-huh.
What if this is supposed to be the bridge between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4?
Oh, now you got me excited there. now that is cool. And that is now see, that would be a brilliant way to get people excited for Diablo 4 without actually announcing anything.
Yeah.
And also, too, you would get everybody to go and watch it because they would basically be saying there's Easter eggs here.
Yes.
We're going to be... Something here has something to do with it,
Yeah, and you'll at least find out, what happened to the original, those characters, the barbarian, the wizard and all that kind of stuff. What happened to these people? You could also potentially get, like, the actual canon version, so maybe the barbarian was actually canon female.
Exactly. No, I love that idea. That is a really good idea. Because I like that.
Yep. And you just build up to this ending where it's a cliffhanger, but then the continuation of this is in Diablo 4, and this is where I'm thinking they're going to be push Diablo 3 still for the next year. I think next year is when we'll get the Diablo 4 announcement. And Diablo 4 is either going to come out at the end of next year or 2020 at some point.
I agree, because one thing, and this is a bit conspiratorial, but I believe that they're way further along on Diablo 4 than they're saying, because for the last year and a half or so, there have been those Blizzard jobs that have been popping up.
Yep.
That have been very Diablo-esque. And so I feel like they have a story out, and I think they are doing level design and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't think they're at the actual game creation yet, but I think there is a lot more, they're along the path that they're not saying yet.
I think, I'm not going to lie to you here, man. I think that there is currently a playable version of Diablo 4 in their office.
I wouldn't be surprised,
I think the start of Diablo 4 began 2 years after Diablo 3 came out.
I mean, just look at the sales of Diablo. I mean, 30 million copies. You don't not plan a sequel.
Right. But how long did it take before we got Diablo 3?
It was 10 years, wasn't it? Or
11. It was 11 years.
11? Oh, yeah. Dang.
So we're kind of in that window of where anywhere between from now to the next 2 years, we should start seeing something. Another interesting thing that I've noticed here with the scheduling for BlizzCon. So you have the first panel, which if I mention any times, by the way, that's Eastern time, because I'm Eastern time zone and whatnot. So the first panel is Diablo.
Okay.
Second panel is Overwatch.
Okay.
Third panel is Hearthstone.
Okay.
Fourth is, they call these what's next for and then the game. The next one after that is World of Warcraft, and then the next one after that is Heroes of the Storm. Then you've got like the Overwatch World Cup, which is going to be a big deal. The Hearthstone tournament, World of Warcraft Arena World Championship, Heroes of the Storm Global Championship, and then the StarCraft 2 World Championship S Global Finals. You notice one game missing out of all that?
That is very interesting.
StarCraft 2 doesn't get mentioned until day 2, when it's the second thing, that you've got Heroes of the Storm Deep Dive, which I'm guessing is going to be a more in-depth discussion, and then they have a what's next for StarCraft 2.
That is interesting. So there's going to be some kind of an announcement for StarCraft 2.
Maybe. I'm thinking. Well, I don't know where they go with the game. I mean, at this point, I know it's still a popular game for like esports, but RTS games are not really the money makers, in this day and age.
It's so true, because like I know that there have been calls for Warcraft 4. But I just don't see it happening, It's like, it's unfortunate, but, I feel like Warcraft 4 is the only RTS that they could release that would be a moneymaker, but even that is a bit of a risk,
I don't think we're going to... on one hand, I was thinking that we could potentially get a Warcraft 4 strictly because of the way you've got Battle of Azeroth. It feels like it's leaning towards, choose your side, and that would really fit in with a Warcraft 4. But as long as World of Warcraft is going on, there's no sense in having a Warcraft 4.
No, exactly. And when we get to talking about WoW, I have some opinions on the where they're going with it with Battle of Azeroth, and so, or Battle for Azeroth. So yeah, that'll be it's very interesting.
So, but I guess then we can kind of start to move on a little bit. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add about Diablo?
Well, last thing I would like to say about it too is that the one thing that if any Blizzard person listens to my monologue here, is the one thing. But they probably have everything, like you said, already written. But the one thing they need to be careful with Diablo 4 is the story. The storylines have been good so far, and I know that it was controversial, the storyline for Diablo 3.
I hated it.
It was very weird. It wasn't. Yeah, it was.
Well, okay, yeah. I just hold on 1 second. I'm gonna interrupt your monologue with like a mini rant. I have forever been irritated at the fact that you kill off Deckard Cain, the iconic Deckard Cain, like in Act 1. That doesn't. It feels like a massive disrespect. And then you introduce this character Leah to us, whom we are like, this is our friend Leah. No, she's going to be the next vessel for freaking Diablo. Why?
It was weird, and to be honest, like I was like, okay, yeah, you're the daughter of the Dark Wanderer, whatever. But I was kind of like, I feel like there was not enough setup for that.
No, there wasn't.
It was just this like, oh, by the way, the Dark Wanderer had a kid. He was tormented, but he had a kid. It's like, it was just kind of, was weird.
This witch had, when Jiggy with it with the freaking Dark Wanderer, in between those cutscenes that you saw in Diablo 2, or before all those cutscenes in Diablo 2, and then, oh, by the way,
and it's like
the only purpose that she has is she's going to be. It's like, I remember that cutscene where it's like all of a sudden you're just like, okay, we're going to go save Lit. Oh no,
it's true.
Diablo, son of a.
No. And it's like, honestly, what I was thinking was like, okay, literally, you have the Dark Wanderer. He literally has Diablo in his forehead. Okay, he's holding Diablo, in check basically, and he's like, oh hey, by the way, I'm gonna get down with you. It's like I'm gonna risk something here. I have a demon literally in me, but I'm gonna have a child.
I think the point they were trying to make with that though is that there are people that are so crazy that they would be willing to let Diablo come back, any form or fashion. But at the end of the day, though, that does feel like very weak story, like very weak writing.
It was just like it was. There was elements I really enjoyed, of the storyline, and
Tyrael.
stuff. But Tyrael was awesome. Yeah, that was I loved that. And, and I'm not going to lie, I loved Diablo's invasion of the high heavens. I thought that was great.
Yes.
It's like I loved seeing Imperius, get his ass handed to him.
I was so happy about that. Oh my gosh, he got on my nerves so much.
He was such a jackass. A
Nephilim in heaven? How dare you? Man, shut up, man.
Yeah, I was just like, So I was. There was a lot that I really did enjoy, But I feel like there was a finality, in the sense that like I don't know how much more they can do with Diablo herself.
Itself.
That it. Yeah,
Pick your pronouns. Pick your right pronouns.
Exactly, itself. Yeah, that it was like. I feel like Diablo was at the height, almost at the height of its power. And so it's kind of like, well, where are you going to go in Diablo 4 that's not going to feel like a retread? Or that's not going to, because you can't really get much more epic than Diablo 3 tried to be.
Yeah, because also you had the lesser demons of hell that were Asmodon and all the like. All of them who were part of Diablo 3. So, yeah, it's like, where do you go without a feeling? I mean, because I even thought, when Diablo 3 was coming out, I'm like, how do you make this not feel like a retread? And it was a bit of a retread. This is where I'm saying Reaper of Souls, it did better. I like seeing a renegade angel who's, I am now I'm the angel of death.
Yeah.
I'm going to go crazy. That was great.
It was awesome. It was different, and what I would like to see, two things I'll say before I finish is like, there's a huge amount of lore. I have like the Book of Cain for Diablo. It has a huge amount of lore in it. There's just so much lore of this. There's like out in the universe, there's like this dragon god, who's not one of the original ones.
What?
Who is there's like what was his name? His name was Anu, I believe, who was like the original god.
Wow.
And he was the one who basically split, and he split basically and turned into, half of him turned into the prime evils. The other was like, the high heavens. It was this weird storyline.
Whoa.
But there's this other like dragon deity out there who is like this kind of like mediator between heaven and hell, trying to keep their war in check. And there's like these really cool like lore things that I was like, I'd like to see some of this stuff pulled into the game. That would kind of make it different.
Didn't that other dragon, wasn't that like the reason? Like, didn't he spawn the Haradrim?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Okay, all right, then that does make sense. I've heard of that.
I want to say I believe so, and like. One, I was on the forums one time, and there was two theories that people gave of a direction of like Diablo 4 that I really liked. One was that the character of the Nephilim from Diablo 3 is the villain of Diablo 4. And I was kind of like, okay, that's kind of an interesting theme.
Right.
Because he's so powerful, obviously, that it's like, okay, what if he went bad? And the other theory that was kind of interesting was that somebody said, what if there was a different evil, a different invasion, a different group, who came in that was a threat, basically, to Sanctuary, that was a threat to both the heaven and hell, and almost like Diablo had to fight with you, basically. You had to bring Diablo in as an ally.
So it's very similar then to like how the Burning Crusade was in...
Exactly, in WoW.
Warcraft, in WoW, or Warcraft 3 before that, because... in that situation, the Horde and the Alliance kind of, though they are always at odds, they kind of, let's put aside our differences for now and, fight this thing.
Exactly. And I was thinking, like, what if they were able to turn, like, the character of Diablo almost into, like, an Illidan Stormrage, almost.
Ooh.
That it's like it is still the prime evil, you don't trust it, but you need its power to fight this other enemy that's coming. And I was like, and when somebody, and I was kind of, this is kind of an interesting idea. I was like, I kind of like this idea, So, like I said, who knows what they're going to go with, but I hope it's something a little bit more original than just, Diablo's loose, we have to fight again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, I'm okay with some elements of that being incorporated, but not
the
entire rundown.
No, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, fantastic. I think then we're going to move on to talking about a bit of WoW.
Okay.
But before that, there's a couple of little news articles I want to touch on.
Okay.
First off, you saw me post this in our actual group chat with all of our friends, but the music for BlizzCon has been announced.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh.
And you have so the bands, groups, the people that are going to close BlizzCon because apparently they want to have a bit of a music festival are Hodor.
Okay.
I don't watch Game of Thrones, but the actor that plays him, apparently he is a musician.
Okay. Lindsay
Sterling.
Okay, I can get down with that.
I can get down with Lindsay Sterling. I really like her. And Train.
What? What? The HE double hockey sticks. Like, now, okay. I want to say I am a fan of Train. I like Train. I do listen to them.
There's like
what
two
are they
songs.
doing at BlizzCon?
Yeah, there's only two songs. Unless they were just like, yeah, we'll actually be in town, and they gave them a discount or something because, whatever. But
I almost want to say, I feel like almost that they had someone else who canceled at the last minute. And I almost feel like it was like, who can we get? Who can come to BlizzCon?
It was probably they had Pitbull, and
exactly.
Like, no, I can't do that now.
Yeah, he's like, no, and they're like, okay, who's going to be playing? And they're like, hey, Train is going to be down at the House of Blues. Can we get him to come down to BlizzCon?
I understand that, like, everyone has different musical tastes. Everyone likes a little, like, some people like rap. I personally don't care for rap. But, if they had, it's one of those, I guess it's kind of a thing. If I go to a place, like if I ever go to BlizzCon or some convention or like E3 or something like that, it's like going there and them saying, hey, the I don't know, pick something just totally random. I don't even care if it's relevant. It's like, do you not understand the demographic that's going to be there?
Exactly. Like,
it's like, do they think my mom is going to BlizzCon?
I was just going to say, like, Train is definitely an older skewing band. They're kind of like a hipster bohemian. They're not the gaming demographic, And it's like, I mean, okay, are they going to run out on stage and play "Marry Me," play "Soul Sister," play that song? It's like, these are not, all of their hit songs are not songs you can play at BlizzCon.
Maybe Drops of Jupiter, but that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah, that's about the only song that I feel like could actually go. But
I remember it just reminds me of like, I don't know, I've gone to like so many when I was younger, I was in high school and I was in my church group, and we'd go to these concerts and stuff, and it's like, pick a Christian artist that you think is kind of contemporary Christian, like we'll say like a Stephen Curtis Chapman or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, there's some songs by him that are great, but he's like, you're going to Winter Jam, and you're closing out Winter Jam with Stephen Curtis Chapman or something like that, and you're like,
yeah,
or like
it's
Matt
like
Redman or something.
It's true. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be tapping my foot, whatever. But it's like, yeah, they're not. You're not hype. You're not gonna hype up a crowd. It's like maybe back, Declaration era, circa 2004 with Stephen Curtis Chapman, you could do that.
Yeah,
but it's like, but he's not that way anymore.
No, and Matt Redman was never that way.
No,
it's freaking, then it's like you go the next year to like Winter Jam, and it's like, oh, it's Red and Family Force 5. Wait, Family Force 5 is still okay. You're just.
Oh, it's so true, and it's like, yeah, I really want to know like what the thinking was behind this. It's like, I mean, I know, and I'll get into this a little bit more when we talk about WoW. Like, I know that the population of WoW is skewing older nowadays, but it's not that old.
Listen,
it's not trained.
We are part of. Okay. We are part of what would, I guess, be considered the older demographic of WoW. There's probably some people that are just that are a little bit older than us, but I mean, around the 30-year-old range, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't listen to Train.
No, we didn't. No,
it's like them picking Goo Goo Dolls or something like that and being the freaking headliner. It's like, I actually saw both Goo Goo Dolls and Matchbox 20 in concert a couple of years back. It would make more sense for them to put Matchbox 20 up there.
It's true, and I hate to say it, but the Goo Goo Dolls would actually put on a better show than Train would.
I don't. Yeah, maybe, but that was when I saw them in concert. Man, they were not interested to be there. No. They were out of it.
It's like, I mean, and Train is not. They're not, it's like they're not known. They're not even that big, well-known of a band. I mean, it's not even like you said, of like choosing like, okay, yeah, this is kind of a has-been band, but they're super well-known. Like they were never like a blockbuster,
dude,
fill the Staples Center band,
Dude, actually, in the article, I found it. It says this is according to who is this person that they're talking to?
Yeah.
Some executive person or whatnot, but they said that that Train was booked at the this shows you, this right here gives you the proof that you need. Train was booked at the direct request of a number of Blizzard execs who saw them. I think that there's a typo there. Saw them perform and really enjoyed the show. This
what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I'm a fan of Train. I will listen to them. Okay. I can't ever say that I've never seen Train in concert. I've seen some of their live YouTube video.
Yeah.
I can't say that I would ever enjoy one of their concerts.
I just don't know why, like, I guess
they're low key. They're not, it's not like,
it's that old, it's that like, I mean, granted, some of their stuff is pop, but for the most part, it's what I would consider to be adult contemporary. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Like, I mean, and I think that honestly, what you just read, it goes to show their demographic. The fans of Train are probably late 40s, early 50s, and it's like,
and this is the thing. I'm pretty sure like they put on a good show. I mean, there are certain bands that I've been like, I've never listened to a song of theirs ever, and yet they come out and they have a stage presence that's just like, okay,
Oh yeah, like Train. From what I've seen, like, and I should clarify that when I say like not enjoy their show, I'm not saying that they weren't good musicians. Like, they are very good musicians, and the lead singer has good vocal range and everything. Like, they're a good band. But yeah, it's like, it's not the type of show that I would imagine being a frontliner at BlizzCon. It's like, oh, that is just. I really want to know the behind the scenes story about that.
Yeah, that would be fun. Which Blizzard execs actually were all like, "Yes, we must get trained."
Exactly. Man,
I don't know. I mean, they couldn't get Post Malone.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty sure he would have come out there.
Yeah, it's like there's. I mean, heck. Well, that's too controversial. I was gonna say you could get Johnny Depp's rock band. Heck, Kiefer Sutherland's band would be better. It's
the guy who used to be one of the Black Power Rangers. Mm-hmm. He was Adam on Power Rangers. I can't remember Johnny Young Bosch. He's in a band.
Really?
Yeah. You can get his band out there.
That's true. Oh, okay, now, dude, you know who I would love to see at BlizzCon? I would love to see Steve Aoki.
Oh my! Isn't he like a West Coast person? Anyways, like
he is totally like West Coast. Like he literally is like perfect for BlizzCon.
Why don't you? Oh no!
And I can't imagine that the dude would not jump at a chance to be there. I mean,
maybe maybe he has been there before.
I can't imagine him not. I mean, it's like
you're gonna walk outside of wherever like the BlizzCon takes place. People walk outside and there's like, wait, is that? And he's just playing, like on the side and on the street. What's up, guys?
Yeah, he's like, I got some tacos from this taco truck here. It's like, oh man. Oh yeah, there's a lot of groups that I could definitely see that would have been a lot better.
I would agree. That's just too funny.
Yeah.
I got two things to discuss as far as World of Warcraft go, and then you can have your run at it.
Yeah.
First off, the World of Warcraft. There's an upcoming World of Warcraft quest that will offer actual player choice that will apparently shape the rest of your gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
It says in World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth's upcoming 8.1 patch, Horde players will be sent on a quest to find Sarfang, a grizzled orc veteran. I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
A few weeks ago, players discovered on the public test realm that they'll be teaming up with Zakan to help save the orc general. But a recent update has revealed that there's another darker side to this quest as well. And I'm not reading any more because there's potential spoilers with this whole thing.
Yeah.
But there's a rare choice, and depending on the choice you make, will actually change the gameplay. Like
that is
really change the gameplay.
That is very welcoming, I can say, into WoW.
So I don't know how much it would change entirely. You know what I mean? Like, because you can only deviate so much from the path when it comes to World of Warcraft. Mm-hmm. But it looks like that it will open up like a different. More quest you can honestly, if you go down path A, you'll have different quest options than if you go down path B.
That is quite interesting.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if this could like occasionally kind of shape what the next patch could be, if it could shape some future storytelling, because obviously they're taking notes and like if like 70% of the people choose path B, then that's going to determine, going forward how this particular storyline continues at some certain point. That'd be kind of cool.
I would like to see something like that. Yeah, almost like kind of like a, like you said, almost like a vote type thing.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting. I would like to see that.
Yeah, it'd be like the modern day version of the whole Jason Todd thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Do you want him to live or die? Call in today.
Oh, that's really funny. Oh,
goodness,
man.
And so then the last little bit of news, and this is going to kind of lead into like you discussing, you talking about WoW. An article came out recently that kind of gives a bit of a rundown as far as what WoW Classic will be about. So apparently, if you pre-order BlizzCon. Or not pre-order, but if you purchase a digital ticket, even for BlizzCon, you're going to get access to the demo for WoW Classic.
That is very interesting, and that's a good way to hype it up.
Yeah. And I don't know how much you've actually looked into as far as what WoW Classic is. I don't know if any of the listeners actually have either. But essentially it is taking everything back to how it was. Essentially it's patch 1.13 to anyone who's ever played. They're not going to... It's all classic WoW before any of the expansions came out. Strictly vanilla WoW. And... some of the details that have been released states this. I'll just read what this article states. It says, we already know the players would get the opportunity to try out each of the factions' early level zones, but in a post on the official World of Warcraft forums, Blizzard has now revealed the exact zones which will be playable in the demo alongside other interesting details. Players will start the demo at level 15, and the level cap for the demo will be at level 19. Core talents like professions and talents, like for your talent tree, will be available during leveling. Based on your faction, leveling can be done in either Westfall or the Barrens, although the Dead Mines and Wailing Caverns won't be playable. The demo will offer improved widescreen support. Modern game tools like Battle.net chat integration and right-click player reporting will be supported. And Blizzard writes that there may be an initial time limitation on how long people can play the demo when it first goes up, including those at home.
Okay.
So, what are your thoughts on WoW Classic? You think it's a good idea to have this? Do you think it's a bad idea? Do you think it's...
I have mixed feelings on WoW Classic. Because the thing is that it's always a little problematic when you look or move backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you have either... it can either be... you can either have people who become unhappy with your later product... because they're like, oh, I really liked the way this was back then, and now this whole aspect that I enjoyed is gone. And it's kind of like reminding them all over again, that it's gone. And also another slight problem that I could see, but I don't really think it would be that big of an issue, would be that you might see a slight depopulation on other servers as people went to Classic to play. Mm. But in all honesty, I don't see that as being a huge problem because most people who play WoW do have multiple characters. So I don't think, you're going to see people abandoning, their other servers to just be on there. Mm. But overall, I think it's an interesting idea because it's, there's a lot of people who joined WoW who never experienced vanilla WoW. I was one of them. I never played back in that era. I didn't start until, I want to say, maybe like about 3 years ago or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm a more recent player.
Freaking noob.
Yeah, so I'm a noob. And so the thing is that for me, I would find that very interesting. And I can say once Classic is released, I probably will create a character and go play on the server. Because I would like to see what it was like in the beginning. So overall, I think it's going to be interesting. I think probably the benefits will probably outweigh the negatives, I would say. And overall it's a curiosity, and it's also a clever way to bring back a lot of players who might have quit.
Right.
That if you've had people who will be like, hey, I haven't played since Warlords of Draenor, or I haven't played since Burning Crusade or whatever. Well, they might come back to try vanilla WoW, recapture the feeling of their youth, maybe get their old guild together, So yeah, so I think it might be a clever way to get some subscription boosts.
I'm only going to play it if they bring back 40-man raids.
Oh, dude, I would love to see that. It's like I've heard the legends of the 40-man raids, and I was like, I would love to participate in that.
Yeah, that's a great way of absolutely crashing your computer. I mean, I remember doing 25-mans in Old War back on during Wrath of the Lich King, and oh boy, nothing like trying to play a hunter at 10 frames per second.
Oh, dude, I know that feeling. I played an old Korean MMO. And I remember during the Guild Wars, and when you would have hundreds of characters, all running around, your computer would freeze.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think World of Warcraft Classic is a fantastic idea. I don't see any real negativity, nothing negative about it. I think it's, Blizzard's reached a point where WoW is so big that, people clamoring for vanilla servers, they can do it. They can get they can, make their wish come true, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I agree.
So yeah, I think it's a cool cool concept to do, to pretty much play. And who knows, this, if this does well, I can totally see them saying, okay, well, here's a vanilla server and all the stuff you can do, and then them coming out and saying, well, to those of you who only played up to Burning Crusade, here's a strictly Burning Crusade server.
I could easily see that.
Wrath of the Lich King, here you go. And you get whatever the final update was to the, to that version of the game. And, up until, maybe you don't do like pandas. Maybe you do Wrath of the Lich King, or maybe you don't do Wrath of the Lich King, you just do like Burning Crusade. But regardless, I kind of like seeing these little things crop up, because you know what? I probably would play the crap out of, WoW Classic, just because I started playing it towards the end of Burning Crusade.
Okay.
So a lot of the changes or a lot of how WoW is nowadays, it was, honestly, I was closer to vanilla WoW than I was to WoW of today, with your super massive talent trees, where, you have to put 3 points, 3 skill points into this one thing that's probably only going to raise your critical hit by like maybe 12%. Where you have crazy deviations. Some people would come up with the craziest concepts and stuff like that. So, I'd be willing to give it a shot. Also, I hope they keep it to where, like, there's some other aspects where I hope they don't allow, obviously no flying mounts.
Yes.
I hope they keep it, whereas before in the original game, Alliance was the only faction that could have paladins, and Horde was the only faction that could have shaman.
I remember that.
I want that back. Like, I want it to be that way, because if you're gonna capture that feeling of vanilla, then you gotta bring those. In my opinion, you have to bring those things that some people may find archaic. You need to bring that back into it and just let it be what it is.
No, I fully agree, and I think that having that kind of stuff could be. I think it's a good. I don't know. I think it's a good idea, and I think it's going to bring a lot of players. I think it's going to bring a lot of old time players who weren't around back then.
Right.
I think it's going to bring them back. I think.
Right. So I'm wondering then, what is your opinion on current WoW, and where do you think it is going to go?
I'm glad you asked that, because I adore Legion. I think Legion was a fantastic expansion pack. It had a fantastic story. The world was huge. Beautiful graphics, a beautiful game world. Just everything about it was awesome. I loved it. And I'm not going to lie that I felt apprehensive about Battle for Azeroth when they announced it. And I know a lot of my friends who were very involved in WoW were very apprehensive of it too, because, I guess spoiler alert for people with Legion, but it's been a couple of years now. But Legion, was a very epic story, and it really ended the story that began in the Burning Crusade. It's like you fight, the rogue Titan, you put him in prison, Sargeras, he's gone, and so it was kind of like, for me and a lot of my friends, it was kind of like, where are they going to go from here? Kind of, it's like, you've gotten as big as you can, and Battle for Azeroth, I think, was a gamble, because they could have really pissed off the fans of kind of basically undoing all of the unity that had been created with the factions to Legion, and basically saying, now you're blood enemies again, that it kind of almost felt like a gimmick. But I have to say that, like, with everything with it, it was they gambled, and it paid off, because basically Battle for Azeroth is a reboot of the WoW universe, basically.
Yeah.
That it's ended phase 1, so to speak, of Azeroth's saga, and this is the beginning of a brand new tale, and I think it's very interesting. And the game world again is beautiful. They did a great job with their factions. They did a great job with their quest storylines, everything, and and it paid off, because it was the fastest selling expansion in WoW's history. It sold 3.5 million copies at launch.
Wow.
Which is huge. I mean, more than Legion did. And so, and I think it was also it was fresh in the sense that it was a good jumping on point that if a lot, like a lot of people, it was kind of like, okay, Legion is, continuation from the Burning Crusade. And so if somebody hadn't really played for a long time, they might have felt like, hey, I'm missing out on all this story, basically. And so suddenly it was kind of like, well, hey, guys, you know what? That story's over with. You can jump on board right now. This is a brand new storyline. And, it segues in, from Legion. Obviously, it begins as Legion ends. But it's very fresh and it's very new. And one aspect I really liked that got people talking was the moral quandary that came about from the Horde. I'm not sure if you followed along with that, but basically, the war chief of the Horde, they had commit genocide before the expansion pack drops. Like literally, she goes and she burns the world tree with everyone in it, and she kills them all.
Wow.
And it was like, everyone was like, damn, and there was people who were in the Horde who literally were saying, I've been Horde my whole life. I don't know if I want to play Horde anymore. It's like, it was, and they did in some of these cinematics with Sarfang, they had Sarfang who was basically kind of, setting himself apart, saying there's no honor in this, basically saying, I don't know if I want to be in the Horde either. And there was this kind of thing that started where in the cinematic he takes off his shoulder armor, and he's basically kind of like about to commit suicide in it, with the Alliance, and he's convinced by this grunt soldier basically to keep fighting. And basically it created this movement within WoW where all these Horde players were saying, I'm going to transmogrify my outfit to not have shoulder armor. And they said, because I want to show that I'm with Sarfang. And it was
amazing.
It was awesome. And then there was even Alliance guys who were saying, I do world PvP, but they're like, any Horde player I see who doesn't have their shoulder armor, I'm not going to attack them. And it kind of created this kind of weird unity that was really cool. And it was brilliant. It was a brilliant marketing ploy by Blizzard, and so I think it was awesome. And I'm excited for where WoW's going, and I think that it's going to have a long, people have been saying WoW's dying since 2009. There's no sign of that, and I don't think that WoW is going to be dying anytime soon.
I mean, it's literally reached a point where WoW will die when Blizzard decides to turn the servers off.
Exactly. I mean, it's like, if you look, EverQuest 2 is still operational. And it's like, if EverQuest 2 still has servers and still has players after all this time, I mean, how much longer, like you said, is WoW going to go? It's going to be when they turn the server off.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if WoW still has millions of people that play the game.
Oh, yeah.
Like every freaking day. I mean, it's not going to go. I mean, no matter. I mean, people are going to come and go. That's just what happens in this game.
Oh yeah, you know. I mean, it's like when you have an expansion pack that drops 14 years after the game is first created, and that sells $200 million worth in retail. I mean, that says something about your product.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they established themselves, and I mean, it's not going anywhere.
No,
So, but I am curious though to see like what is the future. You know, what happens after Battle of Azeroth? You know, what other great? I mean, because at this point, you know, in just the WoW game itself, you faced the Burning Legion twice.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's like, yeah, because it's like there's no bigger enemy than the Dark Titans. So it's like how it's like what are you, like you said, what are you going to do? And Battle for Azeroth was a good reboot, a good starting point, but it's like I feel like they've gone as big, I mean, they could go bigger if they wanted to, but I feel like they've gotten kind of as big as is enjoyable, and personally for me, I enjoy the small little quests. I enjoy somebody saying, hey, you know what? Can you go hunt some of these elk for me? I'm trying to have a barbecue. It's like these silly little quests, but they're fun, and you get to know some of these NPCs.
Right.
And so it's like I would kind of like to see future expansion packs, necessarily go a little bit smaller, maybe. I don't know, that it's kind of like, maybe, just in a continent with like smaller contained stories, and to be perfectly honest, I would love to see an underwater expansion pack, almost like an Aquaman, something
That
like that
happened-
would be kind of cool.
That happened in Cataclysm.
They had a little bit of it, yes, but it's
and whatnot.
but it's like I think there's a lot of different places they could go, a lot of different stories they could do, that would be interesting.
I just remember like one of the things I used to love about WoW was whenever an expansion would come out. So you'd have like you had the Burning Crusade, and it's like you're going through Draenor, blah 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 blah. That's cool stuff. And then Wrath of the Lich King came out, and you're like, oh, I forgot about Arthas. And you're like, okay then, all right. And then you kick Arthas' butt, and then Cataclysm came out, and it's like, oh, I forgot about Deathwing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna go kick Deathwing's butt now. It's I like how they can make you forget sometimes that this big baddie is still roaming. They're still out there, but you're to get this little story, this story within this expansion that you got to deal with first before you move on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, that's very true.
I can completely understand what you're talking about, because I remember, and a lot of times because you level up so fast, you don't get a chance to really see out some of the quests in the zones.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, every zone has its own storyline.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to agree with you. I was going to say, yeah, they're huge. These zones are massive. I mean, the game world of WoW is absolutely ginormous.
That's why it's I still have it installed on my computer. Let's see if I can find how big it is.
I want to say it's somewhere hovering around 8 gigabytes. I want to say somewhere around there, and it's like, I mean, granted, I am going to say, okay, some of the zones are, haven't aged quite as well,
right.
As others, it's escaping me. The Pirate Bay.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
The Booty Bay.
Stranglethorn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, okay, I was flying through there the other day on my Bronze Drake, and it's like, it hasn't aged that well. The graphics or visuals are pretty bad, but even though it was still fun and enjoyable, even though I was with my, my 110, Horde Druid, flying through there, it was still fun, kind of exploring and seeing what this, even illy rendered, land had, to offer me.
Right. By the way, I currently I don't have Battle of Azeroth installed, obviously. I have through Legion installed, and on my computer it's saying it's about 55 gigabytes.
Okay. I want to say with Battle for Azeroth, I think it kicked it like to 75 or somewhere around there.
They did update a lot of the graphics though. That's the thing. When I was looking at the specs for that, I was like, wow, my computer will not be able to run that at all.
Like Legion and Battle for Azeroth, they did a pretty dang good job of updating the graphics for it. Like, it's, Legion it's beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful zone. Or zones, I should say.
So, as far as speculation goes with BlizzCon, you're not gonna get anything on like, an expansion, because that just happened. So, what do you think they'll talk about? Like, as far as content, you think they'll talk about upcoming patches?
I think they're probably gonna talk about some of the upcoming patches. They're probably gonna go into a little bit of the lore, a little bit of the character motivations. They'll probably, talk a little bit about maybe some of the character journeys, where they're going, in the expansion pack, and I definitely, they probably are gonna talk about the holiday event coming up in December, I would say.
Yeah.
That's always very popular, and everyone loves the holiday in WoW. So I think that's probably a sure thing. But I think it's probably going to be. I think it's going to be pretty WoW light this year. I think. I don't think there's going to be a huge. I don't think there's going to be a huge amount, but there's going to be a lot of people do have a lot of questions though of where some of the, like I said, of what I said earlier, where some of these storylines are going with some of these characters.
Yeah.
And I think that's, if I had to hazard a guess, I think they're going to focus more on the character development angle of it, of what the heck are we doing, basically, know?
Right.
Where's this going to go? And they'll probably drop a couple of Easter eggs of where, like you said, they're not going to talk about what another expansion is going to be yet, obviously, 'cause that's 2 years away. But I think, I don't know. I think they're probably gonna drop a few hints of a direction they're going in with their characters.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
When I talked with Vuk last week, he essentially thought that BlizzCon was going to primarily be talking about Overwatch and like Overwatch League, their esports type thing, and I completely see that being the main focus.
I would agree with that too.
It just doesn't seem like there's enough. Even through like with Diablo and with World of Warcraft and stuff like that, I just don't see that with new stuff. Hypothetically, I mean the Switch is getting Diablo 3. That is kind of new stuff. With the new stuff coming, or having already arrived recently, there's just no sense in talking more about something and trying to push something else. I think your assessment would be correct about that. So.
No, yeah, and like I say, I would love, some more announcements and stuff like that. But, as we talked about earlier with Diablo, the biggest announcements are going to be maybe a new class, and something to do with the show, but even that's not going to be a con stopper,
Right, absolutely.
So
with all that stated, though, man, I think it's about time for us to wrap this up a little bit. So. We're going to quickly touch on last week's Twitter poll.
Okay.
And then we are going to announce this week's Twitter poll.
Yeah.
So last week's Twitter poll, I just asked the simple question. Do you watch esports? All right. Thanks. And I got to give a shout out to at Warn the World because she retweeted my my Twitter poll. She's amazing. She's awesome, and she's a streamer. I think she does some YouTube stuff. Right now, she's actually one of her main things is she's playing Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Totally awesome, kicks butt at what she does. She's actually really entertaining. I'm giving her a shout out because she absolutely deserves it. So she retweeted the Twitter poll, and the final results, we had 95 votes.
Nice. Oh, very good.
Oh, that is the most amazing thing in the world. The support on that was just fantastic. 52% of people said yes, they are a fan of esports. So yes, they watch esports. 48% said no, it's boring. So it was really close. That was a really close.
That's interesting.
There.
That's kind of surprising to me. I would have expected it to skew a little bit more towards the yes, a little bit more.
Same here. I was expecting that, and so I wish I could get a lot of people saying why they don't like esports or why they think it's boring. Because I think that in and of itself could tell you, or could tell people, that are over the esports and whatnot, how do you get more people to watch the games? How do you get them more involved? But
exactly, I agree.
But with that stated, this week's Twitter poll is going to be interesting. Which current Blizzard game is your favorite?
Ooh, this is going to be a fun one.
So, you've got your Overwatch, you've got your Diablo 3, you've got your World of Warcraft, Heroes of the Storm, and StarCraft 2.
Man,
that's what we're going for.
It's already killing me just thinking about what I'm going to vote for.
And you can only vote for one. You can only pick one.
Man, that's going to be a tough one.
I know, it's going to be insane. It's going to be really difficult. Even I'm sitting there going, I don't know about this now. Did I really just... man, I just doomed us all.
Yeah.
But I think though it'll be really interesting to see because next weekend is BlizzCon, so I'd be curious to see what you guys pick as your favorite. I got a feeling it's going to be between Overwatch and World of Warcraft.
I have a feeling that's what it's going to be. I want to go World of Warcraft for myself, but I really think I'm going to have to do Diablo 3. And that's a tough one, though. I'm going to have to do some soul searching before I vote.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the sign of a good Twitter poll. That's
I would agree with you.
So, guys, if we can somehow, some way get 100 votes on this, I would be beyond ecstatic. But I understand realistically that might not be possible. But anyways, you guys can go right now if you're listening to the show. That Twitter poll's already out. As soon as the show is live, Twitter poll is on. So let us know what you think. And if you want to vote Diablo 3, but you really also like World of Warcraft, tell me like you can comment, you can create a thread if you want to, right? You can give me all the reasons as to why you like every single one of them, but you just voted for that one game. Do what you will. Have fun with this. I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to everyone.
I do think I will be creating a thread, though, I believe.
By all means, the more interaction, the better. Let's just have fun. So, guys, once again, I want to thank Byron so much for being a guest, co-host, however you want to call it today. Byron, is there anywhere that people can like follow you or find you or anything social media wise you want them to know?
Yes, definitely. I am pretty active on Twitter, so they can find me on Twitter. My handle is at Byron Lafayette, so it's really easy. They can also find me. I have a page on Facebook, Byron Lafayette Journalist, and I'm pretty active on there. And if anybody uses Vero, I am very active on Vero, and I welcome any and all disciples of Vero to come and join me.
All 12 of you. Just go ahead.
All 12 of us, yes.
Oh man. And just also, if anyone's listening and you're new to the show, you can follow us on at SSG_podcast on Twitter. Don't just do SSG podcast, or you'll run into a Buffy the Vampire fan Twitter page thing or whatnot. Yeah, it's weird. Go figure. And you can also find us on Facebook, and we are actually on Instagram now. If you just look for SSG Podcast, come join the fun. I'm trying to post as much as I can. I'm not a big Instagram person, but who knows? Weirder things have happened. So anyways, guys, thank you so much. We will see you back next week with the final big old group discussion. We're going to be talking about what happened at BlizzCon. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. So
it's going to be amazing.
I know, right? I can't believe it. It's next week. But anyways, guys, y'all take care, and we will see you then.